And we're live.
And we're live. We've got a few topics pulled over from last week because our two list items took up our stream, which was good.
Did you just add stuff?
No, but
okay, cool. One of them wasn't a link. Okay, there we go.
Okay, gotcha. So now I'm gonna have to remember what last week's topics were all about. But we've got one: Google may have to end service in Australia.
It's really going to affect me personally.
Yeah, us Australians here.
Right.
We're actually USA, not AUS, but
we're the upovers.
Would you buy a device that makes you feel bad?
I own a Windows 10 computer, so I guess so. I don't remember what this topic was about, but I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Which secure messaging app should you use? Thought this was interesting with all the discussion about WhatsApp and, well, I guess all the secure messaging apps recently. And
I feel like,
honestly, it comes down to something, and I don't think it even matters which one you necessarily choose.
Right. I feel like this week's going to be very heavy on the all these companies are giving away your data topics. Just wait till you read 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Alexa knows when you don't want your lights on and will start controlling your life automatically. I actually remember reading that last week.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool in a really creepy way.
Okay. Amazon says the government wants even more of your data that Amazon collects through Amazon Echo.
And then I actually read the article after reading the headline and making it into more clickbait. It's for all the Amazon devices, so it's the Echo. Amazon now owns Ring, so it's Ring.
Ring, yep, the doorbell thing.
And then there's one other company that Amazon owns that it's also giving away.
Okay. Google accepts that it is not a video game development studio and shuts down in-house to refocus Google Stadia.
Very confusing, right? I had to get all the keywords in there.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. Facebook to start tracking all your app usage.
Or at least admitting that they do. This is actually,
I bet that's only if you have the app
iPhone
installed.
And they're only admitting it if you're on the iPhone.
Okay.
Due to Apple's new policies.
So if you're on an Android, they won't admit it.
Yeah, pretty much. Giving away.
Okay. And then, of course, from Nephew Tech, the classic home automation update.
Man, you know what I can't
Which there's actually been a lot of progress on this week.
It's plugged in. And it's really hot. Which is why there's no top to it.
It's probably like 3 Raspberry Pis running in your house now?
Only 2, unfortunately. I might end up getting like 7, though. And then this happened.
I can't tell what that is, but it's not on fire. Is that a speaker? Oh, it's a plug. A broken plug. So if we run short somehow magically this week, I have plenty of filler on updates. Okay, gotcha. We can do an hour stream of just me complaining about smart devices. Speaking of me complaining about smart devices, the only smart device topic we have this week, or only non-smart device topic. Could Google really leave Australia? I didn't read it, clearly. I read it last week and didn't read it this week. But what it has to do with is, this article is from BBC News. This article has to do with Google's usage of sharing news articles in their search engine. So if you Google for news, just in general, say I Google latest Facebook news, Google's gonna, search their database and pop out some news articles about Facebook, probably some recent articles, and it's going to include a little blurb from the article, probably give me like 2 or 3 sentences, just so I can see, is this something I want to read? And I can click on that and read it. But Australia is currently, I don't know if they're voting or if this has already been voted in, but there's some proposed law that would mandate that Google has commercial agreements with every news organization or enter forced arbitration, something that Google says is unworkable. That's quoting from the article. So basically what that means is Google either has to talk to each of these news organizations and set up an agreement with them to share their news articles on Google search, or the government or whoever it is will kind of come up with an agreement that Google is just forced to enter into.
Cow.
And it has something to do, let me see if I can find it again.
That seems impossibly hard.
Yes. Let's see. And that proposed law is in this article. And I actually did look over it last week. It's pretty long. I had like searched for a few words in there. I don't remember where it was. But basically, platforms have to, or platforms should pay for news that appears that is shared on their platforms. And Google's interpretation is the law that if you're searching on their search engine and you come across a news article and it has that text blurb, Google thinks that that's going to count as sharing the news article or profiting from that news article somehow, because Google does have ads and stuff. And so Google is like considering actually shutting down either the news in like not sharing Australian news, or maybe even like getting out of Australia totally.
Yeah, I was trying to think of that. Like, can't they just take away? It's like, I can share this part. So I just typed in Facebook news in my Google search. Mm-hmm. They could just get rid of the news section and then get rid of like this top 3 that show like the news articles. But then like the first link is facebook.com news, facebook.com news, media new company, Wall Street Journal article for Facebook. They really can't get rid of the news in a Facebook, or they can't really get rid of the news in a Google search. If you type the word news, you'll just get articles from websites. So it's not like they can just like, we're going to remove the news from our Google search functionality. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it's just all these pages from websites. They can't go in and individually filter out all of these news sites from the search engine. So, and if that were the case, then people in Australia could just use a VPN or something and still use Google. And but unfortunately, that would mean that they lose some of that
local news.
The local news, because for me, as an American, and Google being primarily based out of the U.S.,
you just gave away your location.
Kind of assumed that everything, I know. I just assumed that everything I search for is somewhat relevant to me because I'm fortunate enough to get all of, U.S. stuff, U.S. news and stuff. But if you spoke English in a different country and you tried to use the American version of Google, I mean, all your results are going to be based in America. So, whereas if you spoke a different language, like if you spoke Spanish, maybe it'd be more relevant, or if you spoke Swedish or.
Yep. So like one of the neat things, like how Google can't get rid of the news. So most of the time, most of the news I intake is on Monday nights.
For
shocking,
sure.
Right? And so like on my phone, it will show me like news articles that I may be interested in. And so it's like, how long does your Toyota battery last for your Prius? Chrome versus Firefox versus Edge. What uses up the most RAM? Galaxy S21 Ultra review. And then there's some stuff about the COVID. Some things that gamers might actually want to buy, which I'm assuming is from all the articles I clicked on during Christmas.
Yeah.
And then here's one: build a Raspberry Pi CM4 NAS system. And I've been doing a lot of Google searches the past 2 weeks about Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
So like, if people are just like, searching for the local news, there's no way Google's not going to show you things that you're interested in.
News, yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. I just can't imagine like Google,
a world without Google,
leaving Australia. But at the same time, there's gonna be some way that they get around it. And I would say that the people in Australia, as much as, you know, Google might do questionable things, I would say that the amount of information you can get quickly and easily on Google, well, you can get it on other search engines too, but
yeah,
it's nice to just be able to search for what you want and get it quickly and easily.
So here's one article that doesn't really, might not really interest you specifically,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a personal trainer app. Guilt tripped me into exercising, and then parentheses, and it worked. And so
it turns out they will buy a device that makes them feel bad.
Right. So this is over on Engadget.com, and it looks like during lockdown, you know, a lot of people are like, I'm going to get fit, or I'm going to treat myself. One of the other, they're one of the two camps.
Nothing in between.
Yeah, pretty much, right? And so it looks like people will buy apps that will make them feel bad just to reach a goal they want to hit. It kind of surprised me because I've tried several of them, and they always work for about 2 weeks, and then I lose interest.
You mean personal training apps, or like kind of lifestyle changes?
Apps wise. So like MyFitnessPal is supposed to like help you keep track of your food intake. Doesn't really work that well. I found that just getting friends that aren't huge, as you probably noticed, like hang out with you,
yeah,
and then, you know,
our
the other
other
person watching the streams, right, all much more muscular men, and it's definitely changing. Like hanging around more active people seems to make you more active. It's like the people around you affect how you live.
Yeah, I think that the whole personal trainer app thing can definitely help some people, but for me, I just have to actually enjoy the activity that I'm doing,
right,
to get out and do it. But I wouldn't just go run around the block for that running exercise. Right. But if I'm going hiking somewhere or whatever it is, or kayaking, you know, I'll do that. Or even ice skating.
Yeah. It's like there's only so many times that I can stop climbing up a hill with a kayak before I'm like, all right, I should probably just practice carrying a kayak. We need to learn how to walk with one.
Yeah.
And if it ever gets warm again, we'll go kayaking again.
Oh, yeah. It's been cold recently.
Yeah, that was a little funny though. It's like, yeah, people buy apps that make them feel bad just because they know that it will.
Motivation.
Yeah. It'll be better.
You tell me I won't, I'll show you I can.
Right. We prove the internet wrong or something like that.
Yeah. Speaking of the internet, communication. Signal versus WhatsApp versus Telegram. Some major security difference between messaging apps. And this article kind of goes into some of the differences between those three popular items. I've used Telegram and I've used WhatsApp, but I've never chosen to use either of those because it's always, I have a friend or a group of friends who are using a messaging app and they already have their group set up. Everyone's already joined that group. Right. They send me an invite. I install the app, and it's as simple as that. But I guess if you are coming up with your own group and you're just starting up the group, it could make sense to look through and choose one based on your needs. I will say, well, if you want to know some of the specific differences, I guess you can read over this article. But in my experience, I would probably prefer Telegram or Signal. The only problem I've had with WhatsApp, and it's not a big problem for me, but is that your phone number is linked to your account and visible to anyone in the groups that you're in.
Okay.
So if you're in a group of friends or a group of not friends, I guess in this case, your phone number is shared with them.
Yeah.
Kind of by default. I don't know if it's possible to hide it, but
all right. So something really interesting was the latest WAN show or the WAN show last week. I don't know. One of them. They were just talking about this idea on how different apps. They were talking about like selling data and stuff, which is like kind of the same, I guess, for security reasons.
Yeah.
But they were saying, and I was like, wow, I kind of agree with this a lot, that they just use whatever app, because they're more techy, they just use whatever app is convenient for talking to that person. Because some people are like, nope, I only talk on iMessage, or I only talk on Instagram. And then you have probably people more like, definitely me, probably you too, where it's like, I have Messenger and Hangouts and Instagram chat and text, and you just go down this list. But then it's like, for some of the people, I can have two entire different conversations on two different platforms.
Yeah.
Then you have like, oh, we're talking about this on this platform and this on this platform. This is the fun personal one, and this is like the gaming one or something.
Okay. And gotcha.
It's just sorting that way. So you're not actually, you don't care about what platform it is. It's just a means of communication. Yeah,
I'm definitely more in that second camp, because I've got WhatsApp, Telegram. I don't have Signal because I'm not in any Signal groups, but Facebook Messenger, Instagram, email, text message. Yeah. And certain people definitely prefer different ones. Like, I know you like Messenger in general because
it dings everything all the time. Always.
On the computer, on the phone. Yeah. Everywhere.
The argument against that is that's like, well, so does Google Hangouts. Like, it dings my phone and my computer, but I've muted it on my computer because I also receive phone calls through Google Hangouts, and it makes my computer ring.
Oh yeah, but I
don't always have a microphone and headphone plugged in, so it's just like, I can't answer you on the computer, and I don't want to hit hang up because then I feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, you can call on Facebook Messenger, but no one calls on Facebook Messenger. To me.
No, me neither.
But it's like one of the big things is that Discord was like always like, oh, Discord is the way to chat, right? And and then with the Wall Street Bets, which I really don't want to get into tonight, but and they took down the Wall Street Bets Discord channel.
Server.
They've been whatever it is, right? They took it down, and then people are like, oh, we need to go back to like self-hosted IRCs, which I'm like, I partly agree, but I'm starting to lose it on the privacy thing, which I might talk about.
I mean,
right?
Go ahead.
I've never really liked Discord, but that's because of the whole Tencent Holdings has a part ownership because they own so much stock or something. That's why I didn't like it. But it's like, I also don't like Facebook Messenger, and I still use that every day. So it's a lose-lose at that point.
Yeah, I wasn't even really thinking about that. But yeah, you've got Discord, Slack. I mean, forums.
Right.
Which are more group discussions, I guess. I guess that is one kind of difference. But
a lot of forums are self-hosted, though. Or not self-hosted, but they're not. Yeah, they're not Facebook or Amazon or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably Amazon web servers, but
yeah. I mean, I actually really like Discord for large group discussions because you can split out into multiple channels, and you can have voice chats, and you can have video chats. Even
super split up.
So yeah.
But it would be nice to see a way of communication, basically just any of these chats that was actually secure in a self-hosted manner versus anything that's cloud hosted, which we'll definitely be talking about here in like 3 articles.
Maybe one day I'll look into it and see if there is any open source stuff like that, because it would not surprise me at all.
I used to be really big on IRC to the point that I was hosting like IRC channels, which is IRC is basically Discord but from the 1920s.
What does it stand for? Internet something relay chat?
Instant relay chat, I think.
Okay, instant internet instant relay chat.
International Rescue Committee.
You forgot an I.
Right. Internet relay chat.
Oh,
you're right. Dang.
I thought it was IIRC, but
oh yeah,
I guess I had it wrong.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, is IIRC.
Oh,
Totally different.
Yeah, but I used to use it all the time, and then people stopped using it, so I stopped because it's not a cross-platform thing, like a lot of this is.
Sure, it's on the web, right?
Yeah, I guess cross-platform was the wrong word. If someone uses it like on their computer, they almost just use it on their computer. You can put it on your phone and other devices, but a lot of people are just like, no, it sits on like this one because it's a much nerdier thing, in my opinion, at this point.
Yeah, kind of like ham radio.
Yeah, which I am actually very interested in and need to ask you a bunch of technical questions on that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be for really weird potential idea.
Speaking of really weird, Alexa knows what
the sponsors. No, Alexa.
Almost. Alexa knows when you don't want your lights on and will start controlling your life automatically.
Man, this one freaks me out along with the next one. So this is from The Verge. Thank you, Verge. And this is a week old at this point, but new updates bring proactive hunches and Guard Plus to the Smart Assistant. So this proactive hunches is the super awesome creepy part. I do see why it's really cool. Like, it's pretty sweet.
Convenient.
Yeah, right? It's definitely the way of the future for sure. It's going to happen. But so definitely. It looks like Amazon has been enabling new features almost 2 weeks ago at this point that allows Alexa to proactively complete tasks around the house, such as turning off lights based on your habits and frequent requests. So like one of the things that happens to me is I come home from work at the same time, which is astounding seeing as how I leave work at the same time. It's amazing how that works. And come home and I open the door and I turn on the light switch. Imagine if I came home and 10 seconds before I opened that door, the light switch turned on so that it was all already ready for me. And it's like one of those things like on, Saturday morning I'm home because I'm not at work first thing in the morning. What if it preheats the toaster for me? So it knows that I wake up at this time on Saturday and I make the same breakfast every Saturday. And it's like, oh, you use the oven at, 8:45 a.m. or something like that. And it just goes ahead and preheats it for me. It like turns on the hallway light, the kitchen light, preheats the oven. It's like, ooh, that's very convenient.
Yeah, I can definitely see that in the future, for sure. Just based off of your previous usage habits, it says, on average, on a Saturday, he turns on the oven at this time, and it just turns it on.
And then it can detect if there's an abnormality. And so like if I go
you're out of town,
if I go out of town or go up to a mountain to climb or something, it'll be like, why is this dude waking up at 5 a.m.? It's not going to preheat the oven at 10 a.m. then because it saw that something wasn't right. But then if it sees that, I just turned on the bedroom light at 9:30, it's like, here we go. Today's the day.
Today's the day we get to turn on the oven.
So it's really cool in a way on how these hunches can help, save you time turning on light switches and turning on the oven, I guess. It's super terrifying to think of how much user data this required.
Yeah, we've talked about the social scores with social media. I wonder if this is going to have like a productivity score and give you a score based on the time that you wake up, the time you go to sleep, the time you spend doing different stuff.
So what if you could use this score on your resume to say like,
that's exactly what I was going for.
This productive of a human. I require 6 hours of sleep. I can wake up at this time. I can wake up exactly at this time consistently. This is exactly how long I take to eat a meal. And so then if you're eating a meal and it takes 10 minutes longer at work than it does at the house, Alexa might rat you out on that one and be like, this person can eat faster. They do it every day the second they clock out.
Yeah. It's a scary future. But
it'll get scarier. followed by TechCrunch.
Hey. Oh, from Amazon to Google.
No, it's still Amazon.
Oh, it is? Oh, yeah, it is.
And number 5. Yeah.
From Amazon to the government.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Over on TechCrunch.com, Amazon says government demands for user data spiked by 800% in 2020. That means the government wanted your data that Amazon collected 8 times more in 2020 than in something. They didn't, finish that statistic.
Yeah.
So, 800% sounds like a huge number, but then when you look at like the actual number, Amazon said it processed 27,000 government demands for user data in the last 6 months of 2020. So 27,000 in the last 6 months. So you can assume that's like 50-ish thousand for a year.
Actually, it says that is up from 3,222 data demands in the first 6 months of the year. So that increase of 800% was actually
what's during first half
throughout the year. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for finding that.
Which is interesting. Yeah. But I would assume that would continue increasing. So yeah, I mean, it will get to 50 soon. 50,000.
So apparently a lot of them weren't like specifically data.
Okay.
It was some other type of information they wanted, from my understanding. But on this paragraph here, yeah, you can see it. For its Amazon Web Services cloud business, which it reports separately, for some reason, thanks Amazon. Amazon said it processed 523 data demands. 75% were from the U.S. authorities. So that's like roughly 400-ish from U.S. authorities.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, 400 out of however many people are left in America. Still not that very. It's still not very many, yeah. But it's still a number.
Yeah.
One of the funny parts on this, I can find it.
And it also says that someone from Amazon said that they weren't sure what led to this sharp rise in data demands, because that is a massive difference, like that 8 times increase over just, a 1 year period.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that happened as people were starting to work from home more. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. I mean,
okay.
It's only speculation.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, so here it is, next to the last paragraph, second to last. Amazon's transparency report is one of the lightest reads of the tech giants, at just 3 pages in length.
3 pages? That's short in their terms of service, I'm sure.
Right, no kidding. I'm pretty sure if you printed off the Amazon.com homepage, just going to it and just
it'd be longer.
Print, it'd be longer than 3 pages. They're going to have more advertising products than in their privacy report. And I thought that was hysterical. It's like how much of this privacy report is graphs and like pie charts, like angles. So that's pretty terrifying, to be honest. I don't like that at all. But I've been thinking a lot for my smart home offline, and then I'm realizing like how much data one of these little Amazon Echo things can collect. I was like, this is like a lot of stuff that they can stuff into one little box.
Yeah. Even just like the Pi-hole collecting all the browsing data.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Because even now, I didn't realize just how much stuff like the Pi-hole would block. I can actually pull it up real fast. So it just looks on a 24-hour plan, so it's from the last 24 hours. Okay. It blocked 25.77% of the communications from the house, which seems like a lot. 25.
Probably mostly ads, right?
It would have to be, right?
I think.
We ended up disabling everything it exactly reports. It will tell you like the exact links of stuff it blocks. We turned that off because it was super creepy that anyone could log in and just be like, here's what the other computer is searching for. We like the anonymized privacy.
Yeah.
Gives comfort to everyone. Speaking of giving comfort to people, this show. If you're alone and you like hearing our voices, we've brought you comfort. But it's made possible by this guy first. nephewtech.com. My website still does not have an HTTPS authentication, so
jmartmedia.com. My
doesn't ask.
site also does not have HTTPS certificate, but I do have one. Just it's not enabled on any sites at this current moment.
Hey,
I bought another domain recently. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Just kind of personal domain. I'll tell you about it. For posting resume and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like actually a personal domain.
Share it with the chat.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, man. We got Google over here.
Will no longer be comforting people by building their own video games.
This is wild to think that Google is going to do something that will prevent them from losing money. I'm looking at YouTube. This is over from The Verge. Google is shutting down its in-house Stadia game development studios. So Google Stadia is the online cloud gaming, and then apparently they had their own studio to make their own cloud gaming games. I didn't know that part. Which I guess is why they're shutting it down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's going to try to refocus on its streaming service rather than making games for its streaming service, which I feel like is a good tactic for someone who has no idea how this all works. But to focus on one aspect of the whole project and just knock out that little piece and get it working, at least, you know. Like, and then they can go and make their own games. Kind of like, I think Valve pretty much did the same thing with Steam and then a game studio and then building, I guess. Which is weird to think that Google would need to do that. You think Google would be like, here's another $2 billion. Go crazy with your game studio. But yeah. Like, I didn't even know that they had a game studio to begin with, so I don't have much to say on it rather than I hope.
Me neither.
It's good to see that they're not shutting it down, rebranding it, and relaunching it. And we're all looking at Google Hangouts.
Yep. Yeah, I think game streaming is a complicated enough technology
to begin
even
with.
for Google. Yeah.
They just have to get rid of all the latency problems. That's it. It's super simple.
Looking at you, Starlink.
Right.
But yeah, I think it makes sense for them as a company to basically just become the middleman and ship other people's games and just take profits from that. Honestly, kind of reminds me of, well, I guess the business plan for a lot of online companies, but Amazon, at least how Amazon started out, selling other people's products to customers on their website and then eventually branching into building their own.
Starting with just selling other people's books and then other people's items and then their own items.
So right now, Stadia is going to be selling games. What's next?
Right. And the freakiest part is Amazon is now hosting servers for people to host their own websites to sell their own products.
Wow. Full circle.
Right. Amazon went to buying hosting space to sell their own stuff to being the hoster for other people to host their website to sell stuff. How long until Amazon just owns the people that own the website to sell stuff on their servers?
Too soon.
Way too soon.
I'm glad I'm living right now and not 300 years in the future. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, you might live forever, 300 years in the future, though.
I'm perfectly fine right now.
Are you perfectly fine with this Ars Technica article? Facebook makes the case for activity tracking to iOS 14 users in new pop-ups.
That's fine with me. I don't have iOS 14.
Yay! Right. It's still terrifying, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew it was happening, so the fact that they're admitting it now is not that surprising, I guess.
Yeah.
So if I can make this image bigger so we can actually see it. I don't want to save it. Where's open image new tab? There we go. Woo! So it looks like on the phones, it's doing a little pop-up here. So it says, allow Facebook to use your app in website activity. And then this will pop up here. It goes, Facebook, in air quotes for some magical reason, would like permission to track you across apps and websites owned by other companies. This allows Facebook to provide you with a better ad experience. And then it gives you two options: ask app not to track, allow tracking. It doesn't say don't allow tracking or no tracking. It says ask app not to track.
Could you please not track me?
It doesn't say we're not going to. It just says you can ask us not to. But this is all for a better a better ad experience. And Facebook is trying to convince people that this is to help support small businesses. I don't fully understand how, but that's
I guess
what they
targeting
say.
their ads more. Maybe.
Tagging better, right? I don't really know. From a guy who has Facebook ads blocked, I'm not sure how this works. But yeah. So Facebook is tracking everything you do on your phone. We're not surprised. That's really all I had. It's like I don't like this at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely
I don't have the app installed.
I'm definitely getting closer to not having Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely using it less, which is like not too surprising.
Yeah.
It's weird to think because Facebook has this neat little feature. I don't want to pull up in case my Facebook somehow gets on stream. Where you can see like the history and like everything you've posted in the past.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see like how I've slowly gone to posting less and less every time. So it's like all the posts you made on this day throughout the entirety of being on Facebook might be like I post like 6 times in 2012, and then like once in 2013, and then once in 2018, and then that's it. Like there'll be like a ton of posts in those early teen years when I was in those rebellious years, I guess. And then it's like I post way less, and the stuff I post now is not even like anything astounding. It's like, guess who's 25 and learned how to spell dinosaur. It's like, okay, dude.
Yeah.
Not too sure.
Just use it on the web.
Right. We're all going to go to IRC again. It's going to come back. So the experience of this, which
yeah, that's unfortunate.
It was an unfortunate casualty in the process. So here's the top to it, which makes it make a little more sense.
So basically, if you see his, so that's the side that you plug a plug into, and then the other plug plugs into the wall. It connects to the internet, or the Wi-Fi router, I guess, not actually the internet.
Wi-Fi router, yes.
Yeah.
Which right now it's connected to the Wi-Fi router that connects to the internet, but that's because we have 3 lights on it right now. It's not that astounding.
Yeah. Not your door to your house?
Not yet. Probably won't. So in order for me to get, so these run off of a cloud software, and that it runs through a cloud server. I think I still have it on my phone. I don't even know if I have it on my phone. That's how much I hated it. Smart Life. So it's called a Smart Life app. So you plug this thing in, it connects to my Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi talks to the cloud, and then that way I can tell my phone like, hey, turn this lamp on, and then my phone will send a signal to the cloud will send it to this will turn the lamp on. It all happens within like a half second. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The downside to that is that it talks to the cloud now has a copy of like, hey, this guy turned a lamp on, which a lot of people laugh at you for until you wire your entire house up with smart stuff, and you start adding smart speakers and smart microphones and smart security cameras, and even infrared cameras or motion detectors. And then it starts getting creepy, because then I'd be like, hey, house, play this song on Spotify and turn the lights to this color or something. And the cloud would have all of that. That is terrifying to me. So that was why I started this project 2 years ago. So the first thing I had to do was get these things off of the cloud service, which this one's was Smart Life, sure, whatever. So in order to do that, I had to install a clean copy of Raspberry Pi, which I put onto this micro SD card.
Yep.
And then I had to install some firmware flashing utility. And in order to do that, I needed to make my Raspberry Pi have its own Wi-Fi signal. So this is a Wi-Fi card that can plug into the Raspberry Pi. So my Raspberry Pi can connect to my internet. That way I can tell it, like, here's the file I want you to download to flash to it. Because it's an online flashing thingy. Which sounds weird, but it makes sense in a minute.
Yeah.
And then the Raspberry Pi has to reconnect. And so you plug this in. This connects to this, which connects to the Raspberry Pi. The Pi says, hey, you need this firmware for this device. Throws it on here. And then that firmware will allow me to not use the cloud. So now this thing is just a dumb switch at that point, because it no longer has the cloud activation needed. So then I need to have my own cloud. And that's where this came in.
So my Raspberry Pi.
Yep, Raspberry Pi is now my Home Assistant cloud service. I'm using Home Assistant as the software. If anyone wants to try, don't. It's a nightmare. And so now I have it off the internet, but it's on my Wi-Fi. So it's internal internet. You understand that part. The downside is when you flash firmware, sometimes it doesn't work. Especially when you wiggle the plug while it's flashing.
Oh, so it's not that the actual hardware is broken, it's that the flash went bad. I
bricked the firmware. So I have 2 whole buckets. Oh, I hit something. That didn't stop recording.
It's good.
Whew. These are all flashed. I have a bigger bucket of the ones that are not flashed. It takes about 30 minutes each to flash it.
Wow.
And then configure it to connect to my Wi-Fi, and then properly name it, and then have it configured to connect to my own cloud. It takes a really... Wow. I understand why people don't do this now. But I finally got all that working, right? And so I got it all in the cloud, and I could see it, or in my personal cloud. In my personal cloud. And then I can see it on my phone when I'm connected to my... Okay, cool. When I'm connected to my Wi-Fi. Something lit up on my screen. I got really nervous there. And so I can control it. But then the problem I ran into is like, sweet. I now just basically have all the light switches on my phone, which is like kind of smart. But it's not really the smart I was going for to begin with. I was going more towards like the Alexa or Google Home Smart, where I could say, okay, Alexa, I need to go to the bathroom. And it will just turn on all the lights I need. It can like, it can turn on the fan for all I care. It turns out I would need a voice assistant.
Okay.
Which makes this 100 times more complicated. So I was looking at the best way to get the voice assistant working. It looks like I found several options there. But then I was like, well, if I need to put a microphone into every room, it says it works to about 15-foot distances. So you can put it in the center room, pretty much cover a room. But you have to be facing it at 15 feet, of course. I was like, well, what else can I go ahead and like put in this little box if I'm going to like go through the effort of getting a microphone and a microcontroller in there and having it talk to my own personal cloud. And then a lot of people are putting in not only voice detection, but audio detection. So it can tell if someone else is in the room just through like ambient noise. Okay. And you're like, hey, we detected ambient noise in this room. And it can do such that way. There's also like infrared cameras, so you can see people that way. So like,
even if it's dark.
Yeah, even if it's dark. And then that way, if like you sit down to watch a movie or something, it can still tell that you're in that room, so it doesn't just like turn the power off to your computer or something, right?
That would be unfortunate.
And then so like with the voice assistant, it's really cool. you basically just sit there and you just say the same word over and over again and train it with that word. And you're like, this word means to, like, this is the activator word. And then that will make it so it will start looking for more words. And then you're like,
okay,
all right, so if I say bathroom, I want you to do something with one of these 4 smart devices. So it might be bathroom light. And then so if it says light, it's this one specifically in this room. And so you just have to sit there and be like, bathroom, 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 until you can like teach it, which is aggravating, but it's not on the cloud.
Yeah, that does sound like a bit of work.
Right. But yeah, looking more and more into this, I'm like, wow, these Alexa and Google Home devices actually can collect a lot of data. They can tell, they could arguably tell how many people are in a room just by the amount of voices. They can tell how active you are in the room. They can tell what times you enter and leave the room just by when noises come and go. It's wild. I don't like it.
Yeah. And that's just with, audio, much less cameras and all that.
Yeah, wait till you put a security camera in there.
I mean, I guess the idea with security cameras is put them outside, but
yeah, that is true.
Still.
So one of the things I was looking at for putting, like, a good idea for putting cameras on the inside is what person's detected. So if, like, I walk into my bedroom, it would be great if my personal radio station started playing and, like, it went and turned on my computer and it went and turned on my desk fan. That'd be, like, pretty nice. It'd be convenient. And it turned my light onto, like, a low setting so that I have the ambient light. But then if, my brother walks into the room, there's no reason for it to need to do all that. You could probably just turn on the light. Yeah. And so you could do cameras and it could try to guess who the person is. Another way is to have it, your phone be detected. So you could have a Bluetooth signal in
like
your hockey pucks.
Sensors.
Yeah. And then you can detect by phone sensors. The problem to that is I don't always walk around my house with my phone, which is kind of inconvenient. So you could have like a keychain with a Bluetooth on it, but there's like, well, then I always have to carry this like thing around always. Yeah. Which is inconvenient. And so then there's, like, well, you can do voice detection. It's like it could just tell who I am by my voice versus, brother's voice or something. Yeah. And it could tell the difference there. But yeah, it's very creepy on the amount of data they can get out of you with such a little device. On the other hand, it's really cool that they are starting to hunch on what you need.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds really convenient to use one of those other services, but yeah, obviously it comes with a massive downside of all the data.
But yeah, I got about half my stuff currently firmware flashed.
Okay.
It's just a very long process.
Yeah.
It is not near automated enough. It's definitely worth spending the extra $10 to get stuff that's already made for offline use. Yeah.
Because you had to do it with outlets and also switches.
Also switches. All of them. So so switches are these, I guess, I don't know what you want to call these, outlets, are nice because you can just plug it into an outlet, right? It's really easy to give it power and to not give it power. Yeah. These, on the other hand, are not the most convenient thing to not give power to. So thankfully, I found out it only needs 120 volts, which makes it super simple if you're willing to like spark happiness in your life. So when you had messaged me, I was like, look what I'm doing. You're like, is there fire? It's like, no, there's not really fire. I created this little wire here because I needed 120 volts of bare metal. So I was just sticking, I don't know if I should be telling this on camera. It might be bad for insurance. I was just sticking these into the outlet because, I mean, it works, right? And so I can just like stick it in, it pretty simple, and it would just power on, and I could flash it and then pull it out. The problem with that is that I had to hold it there in the outlet and not move a muscle, because if it blunk on and off and on while the firmware flashes, I would brick one of these. These are $7. These are 14. You know, I still hate losing $7. I'm a very penny pitcher. So I took a computer cable and I put 2 little wires, claw clippers on it. And now I don't have to hold it anymore. And I haven't caught fire to anything yet.
I mean, they're definitely rated for the 120 volts because when they get put in use, they are going to be
120
put in the wall. Yeah, I mean, I guess the only danger there is having exposed metal, but even those alligator clips look like they had a lot of plastic on them. So
yeah, they got a lot of plastic, and then these are actually very, like, they kind of hold shape really well. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really too worried. That and these two just kind of like sat off to the side. So
yeah.
One's ground and the other is power out. So as long as I didn't like sit there clicking the switch, I wouldn't have power coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're like, was there fire? I was like, well, there's little fires. Every time I plug and unplug one of these things, these things sparking like crazy. So I had eventually had to make this.
Yeah.
The other thing that I had ran into, I don't know if this is even interesting. I don't know. I went from having 3 viewers to 4 viewers, so I guess it is. So I did this method with the wireless in the Pi to flash everything.
Yeah. So is that just a cord rolled around itself with a Wi-Fi chip plugged in?
Yeah.
Like a USB Wi-Fi chip? Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And it was a 5-pack for like $12. Like it. That was
of the Wi-Fi chip?
Of the Wi-Fi chip, right?
Wow, that's
not bad.
Not expensive.
But the way I was looking at doing it before, which is like the way everyone did it before 2020 apparently, was one of these bad boys. And it's USB on the side I'm holding. And then basically it's just USB pinned out, a little fancier though. So it has the ground which you need. And instead of 5 volts, you use the 3.3 volt rail, which is one of the nice things that this has. And then it has a TX and an RX data line on it. And you would use these, I forget the name of them, these little clip things though. They use like slide over pins.
Like jumpers?
Yeah, little jumpers. And then you would put a male jumper on the other end. And then this has ground, 3.3 volt, and then the TX and RX. And you would sit there and hold all 4 wires.
Oh, man.
And then you hit flash and you would hold it for like a minute with all 4 on it. And if you let go, you just buy a new device.
That sounds terrible.
You know how hard it is to open one of these to begin with? Like, I kind of like beat up my case.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to see, but I beat up the case just trying to like rip it apart from the glue. I'm so glad the wireless option was available. But I still need one of these. I'm going to try to salvage it. I might try to salvage it. It was $7, so I might just accept the victory and keep going.
Yeah. Dang. Does each one that you're flashing the firmware on, does it take much work from you, or is it mainly just waiting on it to actually flash and update?
So if I were to do just one of them, this whole setup process from going from, putting this in and then loading back up the firmware flasher utility and then getting it connected to the internet and getting ready for flash, this whole setup teardown process takes like 10-15 minutes. But then once I'm sitting there ready to flash, I can just plug something in and then I hit ready to flash. It'll search for it and it'll be like, are you sure you want to flash? Yes. And I'm like, all right, connection established. And then you hit the number 2, which it says flash with this version. And so you tell you want to flash with this version because there's several different offline firmware versions. So I'm using all of one version. And And then it's like, are you sure? And you're like, yes. And you wait another 2 minutes. And it's like, flash, or backup complete. Now flashing. You wait another 2 minutes. It's like, flash has been completed. Would you like to do another one? So it is just like, hit a button, wait 10 seconds. Hit a button, wait 2 minutes. Hit a button, wait 10 seconds. Hit a button, wait 2 minutes.
It's unfortunate that it's not just hit a button and wait 10 minutes.
Right.
Hit 3 buttons and then wait. Yeah.
So like, it's not hard once you get it all set up.
Yeah.
But it is like, so you can't hit the enter key for yes. You have to actually hit the Y key. So I just have to sit there and hit like 2, Y, 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 2, Y. It's like, come on, go. And you can only do one at a time. One, because it takes so long to set everything up. Like, it would drive you nuts to set up 2 of these.
Yeah.
And then I tried plugging 2 devices in and seeing if I could flash 2 at the same time, because it's like, it's the same device, right? Why couldn't it? And it only connected to one of them, and it flashed that one.
Okay.
I don't know how it picked it, but it picked one and flashed that one. So I got about half more of the devices to go, but it does work. I'm very happy about that part. It was a victory. Yeah. It only took 2 years.
Proof of concept, yeah. It actually works. There's hope. It hasn't all been for nothing.
Yep. Not yet. Wait till an update comes out.
Wait till the Raspberry Pi gets fried.
Yeah, no kidding. So one of the things that someone did point out in one of their videos, which is super useful, which is like a dev bug at this point, is you can go and you can back up like the entire setup. So it backs up the OS for your personal cloud service and all the integrations and all the devices and all the entities it has, and it backs up like a full duplicate, and it saves it on the SD card by default, where it's currently running in the Pi. So if your SD card dies, you've lost the running copy and your backup copy, right? And so once you back up, you then have to pull the backup off the SD card. Like, it's not like backup. Where do you want to save back? No, it just backs up to the SD card. It doesn't ask you where. Mind blowing.
Just ask me to put in a USB stick and back up on the USB stick. Yeah. Backing up on itself is not doesn't make sense.
It's definitely as a I don't know if proclaimed is the one, self-proclaimed. That is, as a self-proclaimed computer guy, this is not for not computer people. You gotta like computers and be terrified of the internet.
And by the end, you might not like computers.
Yeah, it's been a real struggle. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like next week, because this time last week when I put in the update, like, I got a huge, automated home assistant update.
Yeah.
I got one device to connect to it. And then so I had one of these switches connected and then one of those light switches connected. And I was able to hit the light switch and have this turn on and off. So it's one device controlling another device.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. And then within the 1 week, I've been able to add like 12 devices. It takes so long to flash these things. It's annoying.
Yeah.
And then really learn how to use the user interface, which sounds stupid, but I've learned how to configure a user interface somewhat.
Yeah.
I made
basically what that
pictures appear.
Yeah, it's basically a layout of the house where you can go on and actually look at lights and stuff. I think we might have looked at that a week or two ago.
Okay, I'm actually going to show the picture I sent you, because that one's fine.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like why I took it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. The internet's don't load. There it is. All right, let's see. But yeah, the user interface, the worst part is as soon as I got one device connected, one of the guys in the Discord chat, social media platforms, was like, congratulations, you did the easy part. I was like, what? What do you mean the easy part? All right, here's the user interface for anyone wanting to look at it. So this is a screenshot of my phone. So like, I had the home screen up here, which just shows like all the smart devices in a list order. And so I've been working on a floor plan. Thankfully, this isn't my house, so that's why I can share it. And then we can see I have 3 devices, and they're in the big blue icons. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then I just got them onto a house map. That's all I had accomplished. And then I was able to switch over the map to my house now. So it looks right. Actually looks pretty darn good. I like it.
Yeah.
It's about as good as it's going to get on a phone screen, I think. There's not much room on a phone screen.
No, there's not.
Quickly learning how user interfaces are designed. That's pretty much it on the home
automation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get some type of voice recognition to start working.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that's really where I want.
And you did a little bit of programming stuff too, right? Getting your light to flash.
Yeah, so I did get a little bit of programming. It's a lot more like Scratch from MIT or whatever that is, programming wise. It's a little more complicated because there's a lot more of like not friendly names. So it's like SW dot switch underscore dining room light or something, instead of just being like dining room light. It's like, why does it have to have all this extra jargon in it? But yeah, it's definitely in closer. So the next update, I'll either be really happy or I will be in tears. What a
We're on fire.
Yeah, right.
Hey guys, watch this.
That's where I hit stop streaming.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it.
We'll talk about it next week.
We're gonna talk about all the things.